Assalamu alaikum, welcome and karibuni to Aroma of Zanzibar's kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you how I make homemade lasagna sheets. So I'm going to weigh the ingredients. I'm looking for 300 grams of dry ingredients. I'm using all-purpose flour, but if you have the 00, that's perfect. So I've put in about 2 cups and a quarter plus 1 tablespoon to get 300 grams. All right. For my wet ingredients, I need 185 grams of wet ingredients. So I have used 3 whole eggs of room temperature and 2 egg yolks. And I started with 1 tablespoon of water. And then I went in with a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, and another teaspoon, and then the third one was just a quarter. All right, so basically I've used 3 whole eggs, 2 yolks, 1 tablespoon, and 2 and a quarter teaspoon of water, and a pinch of salt. Not a pinch, about half a teaspoon of salt. So now we're going to start kneading the dough. All right, so I'm just going to make a well there, and I wanted to mention this, that having accurate measurement for pasta is very, very important. So for 300 grams, you may get more or less in terms of cups in volume. So it depends on the density of the flour that you're using. Now, if you do not have a weighing scale, then use the measurements that I have given you here, but you may need to adjust to get the right consistency. Now, my well kind of didn't work out well, and so I'm just going to do whatever. I was already stressed out because it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was really, really cloudy, and I had to use the lights. I couldn't use the natural light, so it looked like it was like 8 o'clock in the evening. But nevertheless, I just went ahead and did what I had to do. All right, so I'm just gonna use my scraper to put the dough together. Now, if you have a food processor, you can do this initial stage with a food processor. It's much easier, but when it comes to kneading, you will need to use your hands, or actually the food processor will work, but not the stand mixer. Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna put it together. Now the pasta dough, and which is in this case the lasagna, you can use it with few types of pastas, which I'll mention them in the description box below. It's not supposed to be sticky. So once you have got all your flour gathered together like this, you will figure out if it's sticky. So like me, if it's a little sticky, you end up adding a little bit of flour. It's not supposed to be like this, so we're just gonna sprinkle some flour and keep kneading for at least 10 minutes. You want your dough to be very firm and hard, not stone hard, but just hard enough, because you want the glutens to the maximum, and also it's going to be easy to roll it out. So when you press it like that together, it's not supposed to touch. Okay, like that. It's not supposed to touch, it's supposed to be hard. All right, so you're just going to keep kneading until you're ready. So now once your dough is ready, keep it out in room temperature for 30 minutes before you roll out the pasta. But in my case, I kept it in the fridge for the following day because it was really, really dark. Okay, so this is the next day. So I've got this tray here, and I'm gonna sprinkle some semolina. This is to keep the pasta once it's rolled, because you don't want them to stick. But if you don't have semolina, then you can use whatever flour that you're using to dust the pan. Okay, so here's my dough. Now please, if you can, do not keep it overnight or in the fridge like the way I did, because these are eggs, plenty of eggs that in this dough, and it had that smell of chicken. I could smell chicken everywhere in the house, and then I realized it was the dough that had that strong smell of chicken. All right, so anyway, I divide it into 4 parts, and I'm going to start working with one first, and then we will continue. I've been meaning to share this recipe for quite some time, but I've not had the time. All right, so, but believe me, homemade lasagna sheets are so delicious. All right, so I'm gonna put this in a square form so it's easy to get a square shaped pasta sheet. Okay, so I dusted it with all-purpose flour, the same flour that I used for my dough, and you're just gonna roll this to as thin as you can get. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll it. If you have a pasta machine, you can use, I do have one, but I don't have a table to fix it. So you can see the lines through, and when you put your fingers like that, when you hold it, you can see your fingers underneath. All right, you can also stretch it like that. Now you're gonna cut your pasta based on the pasta dish that you're gonna use. I'm going to use this. It's actually medium size. I don't have a large size. Normally for this recipe, I get exactly for 9 by 23. You get the exact amount of pasta for this. So I'm just gonna measure it based on the pan that I'm gonna use to bake it in. All right. So first we're gonna trim it out. Trim out the size so the sheets are nice and leveled. And then so I'm just gonna, I don't remember the number that I did, but it's not significant here because it depends on the sheet that the pan that you're using. All right. Okay, so I did one there, and I did another one. I think it's 1 diameter is the size. I can't remember, because as much as you want it thin, you don't want it way too thin. And those of you who have done the sambosa, you'll know what I'm talking about. We don't want that crispy thin like that, because you want to taste and feel the lasagna when you're eating it. Okay, you don't want it to disappear with the sauces. All right, so I try to get 4 because I wanted to really maximize, because my pan, the length was not too high, so I managed to get about 4. And there you go, like that. So I should have 16 by the end of, once I finish rolling. All right, so it's perfect. And you can cook these immediately, but if you wish to keep them, then you can freeze them for maybe 3-4 days. I don't like to keep the pasta for too long, the fresh pasta. So I'm going to show you how I wrap these. Okay. So I've got my parchment paper there, and I just dusted some semolina. I'm just going to place each sheet and then sprinkle the semolina in between each sheet of the lasagna. Excuse my clothes, they're full of flour. No, that's my special jacket for cooking, so all right, so then this is what I do, and then I put the next on top. So I have like 4 on each. All right, so I did this in the morning, and I wanted to prepare the lasagna in the evening, so I just wanted to show you this is how you can store. So I'm just gonna keep them in the freezer like that. All right, and then once I've got all my sheets, and they're in 4s, yeah, and then I'm just gonna wrap it up like that, and then just gonna wrap it up in with the saran paper. So thank you so much for watching. Please do visit the description box and get all the measurements and the ingredients, which is not much. And inshallah, in my next video, I will share with you how I cooked these beautiful lasagna sheets. They were really, really delicious. All right, so thank you so much. And for more recipes, please do visit me at Aroma of Zanzibar.